Welcome back to Switching Reels, Trenton.
Welcome back, Connor. For anyone watching, this is their first time. It's only the second time for us. It's the second time because we had some technical difficulties with this episode.
Yeah.
So you're gonna watch a majority of it probably in one tone and with one outfit.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna switch over to a different tone and a different outfit halfway through because it was about 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks between the original filming and this new filming. So if that's why it gets a little jarring there in the middle, sorry about it. But enjoy. Hi, Connor.
Hi, Trenton.
How are you?
Doing all right.
Yeah.
To our audience that is just listening in, you're listening to Switching Reels, or you're watching it.
Or you're watching it. Thank you for watching it if you are watching it.
Yeah.
And also listening. On both counts.
Yeah. So Trenton, what did we watch today?
We watched Star Wars Revenge of the Phantom Menace, Sith Attack of the Clones.
Why do I ask you anything? We watched Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
Ah, yes, that one.
I'm actually kind of excited to talk about this one
really cool.
because
easily the best of the prequels.
It's easily the best of the prequels, and there's so much to analyze in like what they did really well versus what they did really poorly. Like they're so close together in so many different ways that I find this movie endlessly fascinating.
It's so good. Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited to get into that.
So, but yeah, before we get too far into it, recommendations.
Yeah.
I don't recommend watching this unless you've watched the last 2 movies.
If you only wanted to watch the best of the prequels, then you can watch this one.
Yeah, I suppose.
There's not a lot that you're missing except for the relationship between Anakin and Padme.
Well, yeah, I guess. I would make the argument that maybe you should watch the Clone Wars TV show before you watch this.
I need to watch
there are some allusions to things that happen in earlier movies, but like I don't think any of it's
nearly standalone,
super necessary. Yeah.
Why do they have the clone army? But you don't need to know that. Like
you kind of do for Order 66.
Order 66
but even that, if you watch the Clone Wars TV show, they'll explain it in a way that I actually don't entirely love.
Oh.
No.
I feel like I need to go and watch all of this, and then we can go and like.
Wait, have you not seen the Clone Wars all the way?
Not all of it. No, I think I've seen the first 2 seasons.
Oh, you got through the hardest part.
Oh yeah. It was when it was airing.
Okay, yeah.
So, and then at some point, I just wasn't able to keep up.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, there are some really great episodes in the later seasons, and the last season that they changed up the art style, which I wasn't happy about, but the actual content of the last season was awesome. It's so basically it happens at the same time as this movie.
Ooh.
And so you're watching different pieces of it, and it gets like halfway through. No, it gets all the way through. It gets all the way through the end of this movie. And you're seeing it all from the perspective of the characters that are in the show that aren't in the movie.
Oof.
It's really cool. But yeah,
cool.
So for those of you who haven't seen the Clone Wars, recommend. If you do have a really hard time with the first 2 seasons, I know a lot of people do, look up some guides on the internet. There are some
on how to get good.
Well, no, basically just what episodes are worth watching of the show.
That's a good point.
Because there are some phenomenal episodes. Anyway, that's a complete tangent. Does this movie deserve to be on the IMDb top 250 list?
And so that one's hard because I don't know very many of the lower ones. I know Iron Giant was like straddling the bottom for a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's not as good as Iron Giant to me.
Yeah, fair enough.
Just a gorgeous movie. I really like Iron Giant though. So
yeah. We may or may not see that.
Yeah.
Depending on
the time we get there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because it is. Yeah, it pops on and off of there. It has for about 3 years or so.
Makes sense.
So,
it's a good movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know that it does, but it's close. I feel like it's a pretty close movie for getting onto the top 250.
Okay. I would say it doesn't deserve to be on the list, and some of that is because of the flaws that we're going to talk about. But yeah, it's not that I think that this is a bad film. I don't think it's great, and that's my biggest issue with it. Right? If I thought it was great, I would say it should go on the top 250 list.
Absolutely.
It does a lot of great things. It just does a lot of other things really, really poorly.
Awesome.
So anyway, as far as ratings go,
yes.
yeah,
absolutely.
I'm gonna let you go first because I think your enjoyment will probably be higher than mine.
Awesome. I think my enjoyment on this one is probably a good 8.
Okay.
Like I think there's some really, really nice dialogue and stuff that is just witty. I enjoy the humor in this one, and then having that counterpointed with just the absolute darkness of the last little bit of this movie.
Yeah.
And the CG in this is just astounding. Like, and we were talking on the last one, like it loses the like weird grainy nature that the second one had, which is super nice. So I'd probably go and put myself up there at an 8. And the choreography and all of the saber duels is gorgeous. Yeah. So technical, I still only want to say a 6 or a 7. Like, there was a lot of really, really good stuff here, and like I said, the CG and everything is fantastic. Yeah. So it's just the last half hour, 45 minutes where they're like, hey, this is a really cool story up to here, and then it kind of like really rushes, it feels like.
Yeah.
To go and make sure everything's set up for episode 4.
Yeah.
So that's where it loses some technical for me.
Yeah, that's completely fair. For me, this, as far as enjoyment goes, is probably about a 7.
Nice.
There are some parts of it that I just feel like are kind of a slog. And a lot of it is that last section because it feels like an exposition dump almost.
It does.
Despite the fact that it really shouldn't.
And there's almost no exposition.
It feels simultaneously like an exposition dump and like they just forgot to do anything with the story and we're just really digging into the feelings.
Yes, there was lots of feelings in the last 45 minutes.
Which, as we established with Attack of the Clones, is not the strong suit of these films.
No.
The emotional core is lacking,
Absolutely.
to say the least. So yeah, for me, it's about a 7. Yeah. Oh my god. So it's about a 7 for me for enjoyment.
Cool.
But as far as like technical, I would actually probably go a little higher.
Nice.
Well, maybe. I'm gonna say that's knocked back down to a 7 for me as well.
Nice. Okay.
And that's, I think there are some really bad story issues with this movie, despite the fact that I do think that we mentioned this before the podcast, but there are marked improvements in the CG and the writing in this as well.
Writing. Oh my goodness!
Like the times when we're watching scenes with Anakin and Padme having a relationship, they're still terrible.
They're still not very good.
Yeah. There are a few exceptions.
And there's fewer of them.
Yes. Well, they're at least shorter.
Yes, exactly.
I would say there are a few exceptions. When Anakin tells Padme that she's starting to sound like a separatist, I kind of get chills there.
It's so good. I agree with that actually. Yeah, completely agree.
But for the most part, any time that they're trying to show that they're in love, it's like it's hard to believe.
Yeah,
you know,
it still is.
So, before we get too far into it, as far as spoilers and stuff, I think it's about a 7. From a technical perspective for me. But yeah, we're about to get into some deeper spoilers, so
get your wading shoes on.
Yeah.
Into the spoiling wanders.
Exactly.
Just kidding, it's the spoilers lava.
Okay.
The spoilers are lava. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
Hi guys, thank you for being here. If you can go and subscribe, that would be awesome.
Yep.
And we're going to go talk about what we think about the movie.
Yeah. So first, we're gonna need to summarize this movie.
Yeah.
I think the absolute shortest summary that I can give is Anakin becomes Darth Vader.
But easy.
Yeah.
Straight to the point.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the pinnacle of this movie as well.
Well,
it's the setup for it. It's the descent into darkness for...
It's watching Anakin become Darth Vader from sort of the conflicted character that he was by the end of the second movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree. So this one picks up. There's a war started in the second one. The war is still going on. They've been fighting for a long time. The Separatists, for some reason, go and try and kidnap Chancellor Palpatine for some reason and take him onto a ship. So they get rescued. He gets rescued by our dashing duo. They crash a Separatist ship into Coruscant, and then they go and try and figure out where this other robot general person is, who can't use the Force but can use lightsabers, which is an interesting conundrum for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so Obi-Wan goes, finds him. Anakin stays and gets onto the Jedi Council. Super cool promotion, except for he doesn't get the pay bonus or the title. So he's just on the council with no perks. So that's nice. And then we follow him as he's like, I kind of hate this. This sucks. And Palpatine's like, yeah, this does suck. Also, I'm a Sith Lord. And he's like, I'm going to report you. And then he does. And then that doesn't go very well because Anakin doesn't actually want to report him and he wants to save Padme's life because he has his weird premonitions about his wife dying in childbirth. So, much like he did with his mom earlier in the book, when he killed all of the women and children too. So, all of the Jedi die. Mostly because of the clones, and then the good portion of them due to Anakin. And then he goes and kills the Separatists, stops the war, peace restored to the galaxy. Except for then he gets all of his arms chopped off by Obi-Wan. And also the kids get born. And they get sent to different planets. One of them being Tatooine. Who would have thunk?
I appreciate the fact that you say he gets all of his arms chopped off, despite the fact that neither of his arms get chopped off and it's just his legs.
No, also one of his arms.
Mm-hmm.
It's either re-chopped off, but it could be the one that gets re-chopped off.
No, because we see the shot of
he doesn't have the other arm.
Robot arm, at least.
He doesn't have the other arm. He's now all of his appendages are robotic.
Really?
Yep.
Huh.
Even those that we don't mention.
His nose?
Yep. And his ears. And his eyes, because he has to have the weird, HUD thing.
Retinas?
Oh, those two. He needs those. Lots happens in this movie, but also it's mostly just Anakin becomes Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And all the Jedi die.
I would say the big 3 points are, Anakin becomes Darth Vader. The Republic is turned into the Empire, which includes the overthrow of the Jedi.
Yep.
And Luke and Leia are born.
Yep.
So.
Big pivotal moments there.
Yep.
Except for number 4.
So, as far as standout scenes,
yes, let's go and discuss this.
There are a lot in this one, and I think that's part of what carries the movie for me.
Absolutely,
is we get a lot of really great spectacle.
Really, really good spectacle.
The battle on Kashyyyk. No reason for it to be in the movie.
Here, there's no reason we need to be fighting on Kashyyyk right now.
But it
except for to introduce Chewbacca.
It is probably my favorite battle in all of the prequels.
It's so pretty. Oh my goodness.
And just watching the Wookiees do guerrilla warfare on the droids is just so cool.
It's so good.
But yeah, there's a lot of standout scenes. I think, the executing Order 66 montage is wonderful.
Any of the saber duels, I don't think there's one bad one.
Yeah.
In all of it.
I feel like the one between Yoda and Darth Sidious is a little underwhelming.
It is kind of underwhelming, you're right, because it kind of just goes into a force battle at some point. And I think the setting of it is weird. So
Yeah.
that's a good point.
I think when I watch that, every time I get like this feeling like this could have been cooler.
Could have been much cooler.
And like even just sticking with the Force battle, right?
Yes.
Like I think Attack of the Clones even did it better, where it was, Count Dooku showing off all of his Force powers and Yoda countering them.
Yes,
Yeah, it was just
absolutely
very, very cool. This one, you didn't get as much of that.
No.
There was still I think the highlight of that battle where Yoda jumps up onto the Senate disc thing, and they're having the battle face to face.
Yes, the lightning
with
versus
the
Force push.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And it's just that part was really cool.
Absolutely.
But it's also the end of the battle.
It is.
So
and then
yeah. So yeah, I'd kick it off with spectacle. The spectacle of this is just
the space battle, opening with the space battle. Like you look at it and you're kind of expecting the kind of grainy and okay CG from the second movie, and it just like overwhelms you with how gorgeous it is.
Yeah,
like,
it blows it out of the water.
Oh, it's so good. And then you go in and get introduced with nicer dialogue there as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just really, really good dialogue.
Yeah.
For between Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Yeah.
Anakin's character gets a lot of, and like watching Hayden Christensen in this one and comparing him to the second movie, I completely agree with you that it was just how Anakin was written in the second movie.
Yeah.
Because Hayden does a fantastic job acting in this one. Like there's no, he does. I think his performance is really, really good still, even though like the end is maybe not as fulfilling as we would have liked it to be.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I also just love the entire rescue mission. It's just fun.
It's just fun.
And like even the like goofy stuff that they had R2 doing with the super battle droids, and like I have to just go, okay, this is a part of the prequels. It's still a prequel movie.
It's still a prequel movie. See, we found it.
But
that stops.
Yeah.
After that, like they're
pretty much
after the battle on the like command ship, those wiles go away.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing like that the rest of the movie.
Yeah, which I do really appreciate.
It sombers up a little bit, and again, they did it better.
Yeah,
like all of the cool little antics are very well executed.
And I'd say the super battle droids and everything was really the only problem that I had with it. Even the R2 will come along and he immediately smacks into the hallway. It's like,
it's so funny.
Yeah. But yeah. Also just from a like monster creation standpoint, General Grievous is super cool.
So cool.
Like honestly, I think the only reason we didn't get more General Grievous in any of the other movies is because this was the last one before they were finishing the prequels.
Yes.
Like, if there had been one more movie, I guarantee you Grievous would have lived through this one.
Yes.
And he would have been a major player in the next one as well.
Completely agree. Like, Grievous is... And, like, looking at Clone Wars, looking at all of the, like, middle between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, like, and seeing Grievous in all of those, like, he's a badass.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
He is so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. But, yeah, I mean, and that's something that I've been focusing a lot on recently in my own work, is just monster creation, because it's so interesting.
Absolutely.
And I've realized that I love monsters. Like,
monsters are cool.
Like, I don't like most vampire things, right? Because it's always like, oh, it's a vampire and they got to be seductive and all this stuff. Totally. I'm like, no, just give me the like absolute monster vampire that can't even speak.
Yes. I
love those.
Yes, exactly. That's so cool.
Yeah, so like the idea of having basically a robot monster as a
general, like
pseudo Sith.
Yeah.
Like, it's really such a stroke of genius.
Yes, absolutely agree. It's super, super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I
And
love
not to
him a lot.
mention the entire Utapau.
Ecosystem. I loved the lizard chicken.
Oh yeah, I
Only
don't.
the lizard chicken, rest in peace.
I don't know what those things are called in universe,
Me
which is
either.
interesting because I do know basically all of the Jedi's names that
Yes,
die in Order
I
66
knew a
and like
fair number of them. I couldn't remember the woman's name.
Ayla Secura.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Good.
Yeah, I've put a lot of time into this universe and probably more than it deserves. But
But it's a good one. Like
Yeah.
they did a really, really good job, and they've kept doing a really, really good job with all of their little shorts.
yeah,
And it's really, really cool. They have the pillar movies, and then they fill
Yeah.
in that area
Yeah.
really, really, really well. All right, on to themes.
all right. Yeah, so
I think this one was really weird.
Okay, yeah.
Because like the themes in this one felt like they were really scattered. Like there was just
Mhm.
so many things that they tried to dial in on, and again,
Yeah.
so many story. Like it's gotten better from the second movie, but here in Revenge of the Sith, I feel like they tried again just to do too many things, primarily in characterization.
Yeah. I saw a video a little while back about the Revenge of the Sith being essentially a Greek tragedy that failed to zero in on a fatal flaw.
Yeah.
Anakin has like 5 things that we can say are his fatal flaw, and it's just it doesn't work because as an audience we're not given a particular
One to focus on.
flaw to focus on. Yeah, and so
at any one point, like we're giving
Right.
a lot.
yeah. So like, anger, hubris,
Arrogance.
fear. But yeah, his fear, his desire for power, like all of these things are kind of considered his fatal flaw, and we're supposed to believe that he's a good person where all of these things reside. And it's just really hard as an audience to kind of get our heads around that.
Yeah.
Especially because one flaw doesn't bring him down.
No.
It's each of them
It's a collection.
individually kind of culminating in his downfall
Yes.
step by step. And yeah, I think that the themes were just a mess with that because like what are we supposed to believe is causing this downward spiral?
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. I completely agree. Because, like, at the end, whenever he gets most of his appendages removed,
Mm-hmm.
he is. And that's because he goes and tries to do something that he just physically wasn't capable of doing. Like,
Right,
Obi-Wan
yeah.
was a good fighter. Sure, Anakin was generally probably a better fighter in most areas, but,
Mhm.
like, Obi-Wan's not a pushover.
Yeah.
And so, given the situation that he was in, he made a very, very dumb decision. But up to that point, like, he had been, like, he was trying to save Padme. But generally, again, like you were saying, this is from a place of fear. It wasn't from a place of arrogance. Like, oh, I
Yeah.
know I can become strong enough, and it's, like, my right to become strong enough to save
Mhm.
people that I love. Like, that wasn't it. It was I don't want to lose my wife like I lost my mom.
Yeah.
That sounds bad.
Yeah.
I don't like it. And that again, he also like has random fits of anger. Like he has a lot of
Mhm.
anger towards the council
Yeah.
whenever they're not
Honestly,
promoting
I
him,
think
or
I think that's the part that makes the most sense with his anger.
yeah, I do
is-
actually agree.
yeah.
Like, because you've never done this before. The
Yeah.
council makes a really strange, politically charged decision when they haven't up to this point, which is really a
Yeah.
win for Palpatine.
Yeah.
Like that means that Palpatine's doing exactly what he wanted this entire
Right, yeah.
movie, because he puts the Jedi Council off guard. He gets them off foot,
Mhm.
and makes them start slipping up.
Yeah. There are also some really interesting themes about government and democracy and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff through this entire film. We're
Mhm.
watching not just the fall of the Jedi, and the fall of Anakin, but also the fall of
The Galactic
Republic. Yeah.
exactly.
And so, I think we may have mentioned this earlier in the episode. Again, it's been 2 weeks. But the line where Padme says, "So this is how democracy dies, or
So
liberty dies."
The thunderous applause.
Yeah.
I love that line.
Yeah, and it's just gives me chills every time.
Are we going to talk about exactly how watered down she gets in this episode, particularly? Like, she is a very, very capable woman in both the first and second one. Like, she is thinking up cool plots and schemes and governing a world and running from evil people and doing her best to keep Anakin in line for most of the second movie. Like, I guess he's following her for some of it, but
in this one she's just worried baby mama the
yeah,
entire time.
exactly. Like,
yeah.
You don't even see her like really doing politics in this one as compared to the other two. Like, she's doing political moves in the first two movies.
Honestly, I would have loved to have seen, and this is my weird, I guess, non-Star Wars side. I would have loved to see more political stuff from this movie.
This is a huge political moment.
Yeah.
Like, you're going from a republic, like very similar to what we have here in the United States, to a much closer to a dictatorship, which is like essentially it is, because it goes into you go and elect an emperor, like you're an empire now. There's
and Palpatine is the Senate.
Yeah, Palpatine. I am the Senate. Yes, Palpatine, man, and like I don't get a read exactly on what his motivation as a Sith is. Like, I get kind of an understanding from Count Dooku. Like, he feels like the entire system is broken and so it needs to be fixed, and the Jedi are like not evil, but they're misguided and we need to go and fix that. And you get Anakin's there to go and get more power for sure, but like that wasn't his goal. It was out of fear. Darth Maul is stereotypical, fantastic, but stereotypical like bad guy. I want to learn more things, get more powerful. Which we never hear him talk about because he has like 2 lines, but
which is a shame because his delivery of those lines is wonderful.
Yes, at last. Yes, that's such a good one. But Palpatine, I'm not entirely sure what his motivation is for doing everything that he does. Like, it feels as though he's literally just after more power and a position where he is the most powerful being in the galaxy. Like,
I honestly think that's it. Like, as little nuance as there is there, I do genuinely just think that Palpatine just wants more power. It's why even when we get to Return of the Jedi, he's just sitting in his chair the entire time, feeling powerful.
Exactly. That's all he's letting his apprentice go and deal with his son. Like, that's a lot of power to allow that to happen.
And then he just sits there and waits to see what happens with the battle, because he's like, if Vader kills him, then we're good, and if Luke kills him, then I have a new apprentice.
Exactly.
So, like, I think Palpatine as a character is like, he's just really, really skilled at doing several things, but his motivation is pretty simple of just, I want all the power.
I want all of unlimited power. Yes, I completely agree.
Yeah.
No, and that does make sense. It feels shallow comparatively to, like, he doesn't feel like a person.
Petty.
He is petty, but like what is the background that creates such a petty, power lusty person? Like, I want to know why what child was like born and in what situation that leads you to becoming Palpatine, the instigator of a republic collapse.
He had a whole bunch of fatal flaws, but he was basically a good dude at one point. And then
Darth, a good thing we didn't look at it.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Good point.
So, yeah. Do you have anything else you want to say about the themes in this, or?
The themes, no, I think that we've hit that really well. Going back to
Okay.
standout scenes or performances, though, Ewan McGregor,
Oh yeah,
because he is just absolutely wonderful in this role.
Yeah.
He delivers everything he needs to correctly, and also just the pizzazz he has. Like the fact that one of the most relatable and like most prevalent memes from this one is just him saying hello there. Like his personality is
Yeah.
fantastic in this. I love it.
I would love to see him as the first non-British Bond.
Oh, that'd be such a cool one. Yeah, I agree. He brings like he still has the sophistication. Like that's
Yeah.
him. But oh yeah, that would be so cool. I completely agree.
Yeah.
That'd be really really nice. I love
He's
it.
from the Isles. That'll work.
Which Isles?
The British Isles.
Yeah, but which ones?
I don't know if he's Irish or Scottish.
I can't remember either.
Based on the fact
He's
that his last
Scottish.
name is McGregor. Bleh. I would guess that he's Irish, but that's a shot in the dark.
Yeah, we'll look at it up after this.
So technical things.
I really
This is
like
Star
it.
Wars.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
And
Again,
it's I would say this is the most recent Star Wars. As much as, you know,
we had 3 others.
We did not have 3 other Star Wars. We had 3 other movies trying to cash in on Star Wars.
Valid point.
And there are, you know, some movies that I enjoyed. I liked Rogue One.
Yeah, I really liked Rogue One.
I thought it had limited rewatch value, but that was really my only complaint about it. But you know, I think we've had some good Star Wars adjacent things.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I even said this in the first episode that we did. These 6 movies are really the only ones that I consider the Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
You know, and I like the Clone Wars. I like honestly anything Dave Filoni's touched. I thought has been
He's done a really really good
at least
job.
good.
I really liked Obi-Wan. I don't know if he did Obi-Wan or not, but
I think he's heading basically the Star Wars department right now. So
I really liked Obi-Wan and the backstory that is set up between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader.
I liked the first episode that I watched.
Nice. Well, I would encourage you to go and watch the rest of them because I thought it was really really good.
But yeah, regardless, I think the sort of boundary pushing technical side of Star Wars kind of died with the Lucas trilogies.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of it still looks good, but it's not on par with like.
And the world building just isn't as well done. It feels like in this one we get multiple different very gorgeous worlds, some of which are new. Like Mustafar is a fantastic planet.
Like I'm torn between the typical criticism of Star Wars world building, which is just the entire planet is one biome. And I agree with that. Like it
is funny. The entire planet is one biome whenever we see these things.
And
we normally only do see like one section, except for Tatooine. We see a lot of Tatooine through the entire trilogy. But
well, we see a lot of
the outside of a planet.
Yeah, a lot of establishing shots of the whole planet.
Yeah, that's a very good point. See it in things like EVE Online as well, where planets are just one thing. You don't
I haven't played EVE Online, so. But yeah, so I like a lot of the stuff in this one though, because like Kashyyyk, I want an entire like movie that is based around Kashyyyk.
I love Kashyyyk
because it's such a cool idea. Like you look at all the little world building pieces of like the clone troopers are in like
camo
armor, which kind of is like a hint at Return of the Jedi, the armor they have there, and the Wookiees with like their sort of wilderness barbarian look going on. It's just
technical things in this were great. I loved the
Yeah.
soundtrack. The CG was better than the second one, which was nice.
Yeah.
And we already talked about this earlier, but the foreshadowing with all of the different, like, how the clone army looks and how their transports look and everything is gorgeous.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, so our next film
Nice.
is one that we've both seen, I'm
Thank
sure.
goodness.
It's Star Wars again.
Which one?
Depends on who you ask.
It's number one. It's number 0 to some people. Like, I've been talking to people recently about the podcast, and they're like, yeah, I saw Star Wars when it was just Star Wars.
Yeah.
There was no New Hope at the end. It was just, it's Star Wars.
That's the one we're watching. Either Star Wars or Star Wars A New Hope, depending on which generation you were born into.
Yes, exactly. It's a New Hope for us.
I'm excited because I have the Despecialized editions. So the horrible CG that was supposed to make it look like Phantom Menace, and then Phantom Menace ended up looking way better.
Yeah.
That's all
Phantom
out.
Menace was really good.
There is a horrible pink tinge to all of the special edition versions of this movie. I watched this one and was like, without that distracting me, this is actually good.
I'm excited to talk about that.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that in a little while.
Yeah.
So,
see you guys next week.
Yeah. How do we end this?
Good.